Yes, my name is Paul Macharia, an advocate of High Court of Kenya. So we are here as young advocates to have a chat on the issues affecting the Law Society of Kenya. And I'm going to give my colleagues a chance to introduce themselves before we proceed on our short chat on the issues affecting the Law Society of Kenya.
Romario Chacha, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and we are here to discuss the issues, the emerging trends, and the issues affecting young advocates.
Hi, my name is Bildad Khatete. I'm a young advocate admitted recently, and we are here to discuss about the issues affecting the Law Society of Kenya.
And I'm Chelsea Mbogo, also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and I'm glad to be part of this discussion.
There are a number of issues, some good, some bad, that have been happening in the Law Society. I think we start with the things we would not like to repeat themselves and happening in the Law Society. What are some of the issues you think they are not well placed and they should not happen in the Law Society of Kenya?
I'll start with the issue of the current issue of the Brian Mwendwa issue about the masqueraders in the Law Society. To be precise, this has been an issue that affects the Law Society at large, and I believe that we need a system to eradicate and do away with masqueraders in totality.
I feel as a society we are so much divided. Each and every day we fall apart, we are pulling away from each other. There's a disconnect between the seniors and the juniors. There's a disconnect between the young bar, the middle bar, and the senior bar, which I believe there is need for more harmonization so that society members can work together for the betterment of both the society and the country as a whole.
There have been some attempts to ensure that at least there is some mentorship. At least having mentioned some of the challenges that we are facing as the Law Society, what would we say are some of the gains that have been achieved, presumably by the current Council of the Law Society of Kenya?
I think the current council of the Law Society of Kenya has been able to operationalize the various committees within the Law Society of Kenya, and they have tried to have input of majority of the members within the committees in terms of composition of the committees and in terms of listening to the views of members. So I believe that the foundation that has been laid by the current council needs further input, needs further harmonization, so that going forward we can have involvement of probably we can create some thresholds. For example, we can say 40% of the committees goes to the young bar, considering that the young bar is the majority. And I believe once the young people get a seat at the table, then they will be able to push the agenda of the young advocates.
Yeah, another issue is also the issue of mental health awareness. I believe it should start within our law firms, and most of the advocates, especially those who are newly admitted, the younger bar, I've seen some of my colleagues also shrink or sink into depression because when it comes to payment, it's really low, and on the other hand, your bosses or our bosses really demand a lot from us, so most of us really end up in drug consumption and everything. So we really need this to be taken seriously, the issue about mentorship, also the issue about mental health awareness.
So elections in the Law Society are around the corner, and it will be of utmost importance that we have a candidate who advocates for the issues and concerns of the young advocates. Among the candidates who have fronted their candidature, based on the issues you've discussed and raised, who do you think is safe, or who do you think addresses your concerns?
It can be seen, it's very clear that Faith Odhiambo is the candidate who will address the issue of young advocates, the issues of mental health issues, things to do with the unification between the senior bar and the junior bar, and in such a way that we've seen how Faith has worked with the Law Society of Kenya. She is diligent, she is hardworking, and very honest. Faith has eradicated, or we've seen how she has worked, and she has tried to eradicate the issue of that I brought up, the issue of masqueraders. So with Faith, the bar will be a clean bar.
Great.
Personally, one of the values that I appreciate and I value most is the value of honesty, which is very rare in the modern society. So I would go with Faith Odhiambo for the LSK president. By virtue of her honesty, we have seen that she does not give so many big false promises that are unachievable. Instead, she is trying to give achievable issues in her manifesto. She is talking about entrenching whatever has been made by the current council and building on the foundation that has been made so that the society can have greater gains. So I believe the Law Society is in safe hands with Faith Odhiambo.
My preferred candidate for the LSK presidential position definitely is Faith Odhiambo, because I've not only interacted with her during this electioneering period, but I knew Faith back in 2019 when she was my lecturer. I've experienced her kindness, I've experienced her compassion firsthand, first when I was her student. Also her mentorship programs. She had like a mentorship program for students, which had never occurred before. Apart from that, everything that they have mentioned, really everything that we mentioned, some of the challenges that she experienced as a younger bar really aligns to her manifesto. In her manifesto, she talks about mentorship. She talks about inclusivity. She also about the rule of law, uplifting the rule of law. We've seen the current fights between the executive and the judiciary, which are some of the things that she's trying to address in her manifesto. So yeah, vote for Faith, vote for a stable progressive bar.
Great. As we sum up, what do we tell the advocates who are the voters in the coming elections with regards to the presidential position? What do we tell them?
I'll tell them this: look no further. Your right candidate is Faith Moni Odhiambo.